Hello, welcome, everybody. Welcome to maybe the worst idea ever because it's me and Jamie in a room together with the internet. This could end badly. Internet, Jamie, internet.
Hello, internet.
Yeah. So Jamie's a good friend of mine who actually helped a lot out with the building of this Covalex unit at
1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, I think we started at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
there may have been at least one all-nighter, I think.
there was a couple of all-nighters if we actually include the prerequisites to this. There was definitely more than a few.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. So, for all of those who missed us on Sunday, we've been playing around with this. We should probably get this positioned nicely and show where we got up to with it. I have got a slightly better compressor lead today. So, for all of those who don't recognize this, have you not ever played Star Citizen? Come on, people. Thought that would be less trippy-overy. Power supply. Right, so put this in here. So, let's plug these in. Now, Jamie has never seen this actually put together.
Nor has Jamie been live on the internet, nor ever streamed before. And you've only just missed me bemoaning the fact that I've just arrived here, there's no tea, no provisions, no biscuits.
We might be able to find biscuits later on.
You know, there's probably people watching this not from the UK that don't understand how serious such a thing is.
Yeah, absolutely. How serious a situation that is. So we have, this thing has a wee screen. Here is its screen. And excuse the immensely reflective LED lights in here. So this is all as per game. You can see it sort of flashing away there. This is all animated, which is obviously absolutely awesome. Now, when we press the buttons, if you press drop off, Jamie, we'll see if everything's working. Press it harder, maybe.
I pressed it like I meant it.
Oh, there you go. So it does its little scrolling animation, and it opens the door. So that's where we're up to.
So if I put the box in, to close. I'm impatient here.
Yes. So our sticking point at the moment is it's just going to time out and close and scare the bejesus out of us. So that's all it can do at the moment because it's missing its sensors.
Have we got something sacrificial? I was about to say, if we something sacrificial we could put in here.
Well, I did promise to put my arm in it, so we should probably start with that.
Can we do that now?
Yes, let's do that now. Because I did promise that this door doesn't actually hurt. And
are we going for an arm or a little finger?
I think we start with an arm. So my argument is, I'm going to show you that you can catch it.
That's cheating. That's you just getting prepared to remember how heavy it is.
Yeah, I know. Because it's been 2 years since we did this. So the only problem that might occur with this is it'll jump the rope.
Right. If you die, can I have your welder?
Yes. Yeah, that's fine.
Just to get that.
So, I mean, if that dropped from the top, I can get it to drop. It's not.
I mean, we're not talking about a pure amputation here.
Oh, no. I mean,
probably not even a traumatic injury.
I think, to be perfectly honest, that might give me a bruise if I keep doing it. But
what about a little pinky?
This has turned into a very different stream now, Jamie. Yeah, that would hurt.
That would really hurt.
That would really hurt. I think it could potentially break a finger.
I would say that's pretty well guaranteed.
Yes. So the JRDF guarantee, this will break your finger.
I mean, in terms of just purely generating a snuff movie, where did that come from? A good thumbnail. You could stick your head through there from the other side.
What, and then cut it?
You could.
It will give you a headache, wouldn't it? So this is obviously a bit of a problem with the design in that it will actually injure people. I should probably say hello to people as well. Hello, Red Monster. Hello, Heavy Bob. How are you? Star Helix. Hello. Stormtrooper. So the Stormtrooper is James, who did all the software and stuff behind this, and who was with us on Sunday. Unji, hello. Mini Flames, hello. Patch. Oh, yes. Now, there are some of you, Citizen Dell, hello. I did wonder whether we were going to be a little bit bereft due to Gamescom starting. No one is allowed to go and watch Gamescom. You have to watch us being stupid. So that's where we're up to. Now, the answer to this fix of lopping our arms off and stuff is the next stage of putting a stepper motor in it.
Yeah, because I think actually John's making light of something that is potentially serious in an office environment.
Oh, God, yes. Yeah.
Effectively what we have here is a multi-louver guillotine.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's at an event where you're in control of it, where you can make sure, because if this was at an event running on air, it wouldn't be unsupervised.
Some people shouldn't be left unsupervised, and if I was to ask Callie to list lots of people who shouldn't be unsupervised,
it's probably on that list. We do have a phrase in my defence, I was left unsupervised, exactly. Which just explains most of what we end up doing here.
But the same token, we also don't want it taken all day to close.
No, and that's the thing. That's a big advantage of the stepper, because it's not going to slow it down at all. Yeah. It's just going to drop to about here and then slow down.
Yeah.
Just decelerate in its last couple of inches. So that's fine. What I do want to do with this, however, today is router. I actually even have a snagging list from Sunday. So we have to mount the RFID in the base
acronym.
of it.
Used an acronym.
I did. I have no idea what it stands for, this.
Okay.
What does RFID stand for, people? Radio Frequency Identification. Is that right? Or am I speaking shite? Waldeck, TBD. Welcome. Yeah, I think it's Radio Frequency Identification. I don't know.
Device.
Someone in chat will.
With any luck.
Nailed it. Excellent. I got it right. Fantastic. So we need to cut the track for the top. So what we'll do, let's open this. Let's get this door to actually open and stay open for a minute. I shall do that by swapping the airlines around, because that'll just keep it open. So we'll cross the streams. Okay. So that'll just hold the door open, because I've just reverse the polarity of the air. So this is our RFID reader.
Okay.
So, to explain to Jamie very quickly how this is supposed to work in the end, these RFID cards, like hotel
explain
cards.
That Jamie is a Luddite that lives basically in the Stone Age.
Yes, physically and literally. You don't have internet in your house, not out of choice, but yeah. So these are like hotel. Have you been to a hotel in the last 25 years?
No.
All right. So these are what they use as keys to get in and out of places now.
Why?
Why? Because people lose actual physical keys.
And you wouldn't lose.
It doesn't matter, because you keep them most of the time. They just reprogram another one, and it stops working after a day.
This one.
Yeah, just stops working.
Can I use my iPhone instead of this? Can I
James,
clone this, use my iPhone?
I can't. I bet half the people in this chat could.
Exactly,
right,
yes.
Well, so the idea is that the boxes have one of these on the bottom of them. So when you put them in here, this reads it to check it's the correct box.
Yeah.
So we need to mount this. I don't need to understand how this works. You don't need to. All we need to do is mount this flush to this surface. So we're going to cut a hole so that it can fit in and get mounted. Now, there is detailing. I meant to go in game and get a picture of it. There is detailing on all these sides that I never did.
For the harder thinking amongst us, what's the range of that thing, and why can't we just stick it to the underside?
We don't think it'll go through that much wood.
Right.
Is the issue. We're having this debate. We don't know for sure.
Play with it?
This is the thing. We can't yet. That's one because we haven't actually plugged it in yet. So that's the other thing we've got to do. We've got to route a way for cables to get through so we can test this. But there is detailing to go on the bottom of this. So I think the best thing to do is cut a hole big enough for this to sit all the way in, because the wires have got to go under this anyway. And then we can either 3D print something or have a plate that goes on top that can be as thin and made out of whatever material we like. Glass would be preferable. Painted glass would be the best thing to have. So if we cut a hole for it and sort out a mounting for it, it allows us to play around with what's on top of it. The other issue is I don't know. It's not like a cardboard box. So these cards might not be absolutely on the bottom of it. So these, I'd like to be able to sit at least half an inch off the bottom.
Now, how many loading cycles would you expect this Covalex unit to actually handle? Because this is a wearing surface, there's no tracks, nothing here. So there's nothing either, is there?
I think it's like checker plate, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the other thing. We couldn't use metal on the bottom. Well, we could use metal, but not over the top of that. But we could have some metal in there for example. This is how I imagine it working at an event. James.
I'm thinking Victorian engineering, where it still has to work in 100 years.
No, this doesn't have to work in 100 years, but we were musing about this. So if this was at an event, which is kind of where we want it to be, doing some gamification of an event, the event has about 2,500 people at it. We would suspect most people would want to do a box mission at some point. That won't happen, but probably 400 people during the day could do it. So this might have to do 200 cycles in the day. 200 to 400 would be nice. So a decent number.
Aye. So the cycles is relevant to power supply, even the likes of the stepper motor, the durability, the duty cycle, the power, whatever we're going to power it with, is going to have a duty cycle capable of 200 cycles in, let's say, an 8-hour.
And that's it. And I don't think that'll be particularly trying on the stepper, because I'm looking at a Nemus 23, which is it's not far off the size that are on that machine.
Yeah.
And when you think of the cycles that machine does in a single toolpath, it probably goes side to side 300 times. If you're doing a 3D carve, it does thousands in one toolpath, and that's just in an hour.
That is 7 kilowatts, though.
No, the steppers
aren't for sure.
No, the stepper is only 42. I think they're big 23s, but I mean it's that sort of size stepper we'll be putting in this, because they're not that expensive, really.
Now, for the tree huggers and yogurt knitters amongst us, is there
I think we might have to add yogurt knitters to James's list of phrases he's never heard. Swinging cats, cockwombles, and what else was on your list, James? We're educating people who don't necessarily...
I'm not the only person that lives under a rock. That's heartening to know that James also lives under a rock.
Well, he lives in America, which I suppose is worse.
That's obviously the same thing then, is it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to cop some flack for that one, I think.
Yeah, it's fine. These are more British phrases that they've never heard of. So I
was going to say, is there a way of using regeneration as part of the slowing down thing where...
No.
You could harness all that energy.
No, fuck that. Greta Thunberg is not our target audience for this. Our target audience for this is for an event, and the amount of power that this thing is going to use during the day will be belittled by the diesel we will take to get the truck to the event.
Something that I'm sure somebody in chat, if they haven't already said, which I can't quite read it from here, is why don't you just use a damper? Why not just catch it with a damper for the last 2 or 3 centimetres? Literally an oil-filled damper would do exactly the same thing.
But where would it get mounted?
Up on the back, rope, pulley, same deal.
I guess the thing is, if there's a stepper there, why not make the stepper there? If the stepper's got to run anyway, and it's got to run a programmed cycle, because it's not like the air ram, it's not just like on or off. You have to actually...
question.
Yes. So I think it's the other thing we want to do. So there's a fucked up version of this in the game. In a place called Grimhex. It's a made-up place. Don't worry about it. You're never going to visit it.
I wouldn't have gone anyway.
It's basically fucked up, and the screen glitches and things, but the door kind of starts to open, judders, goes down a bit, opens up. So we want to have that as a potential cycle as well. And that's all software, which is great. It doesn't affect the hardware at all.
What about sound?
So we were talking about the sound. This is very much up your street, actually. What I would like to have in here, because we've got quite a lot of... Oh, no, I'll just use this camera. Nice shirt. Yeah. I managed to steal this shirt before it stops being Foundry 42. So there is actually loads of room in here, and we can see the power supply and stuff in here. So what I fancied was actually to have like a big chain drive in here, big cogs running on chains, because the sort of we were musing about the concept of this. So in game, you can load and unload loads of different boxes into this.
Yeah.
The magic door closes, the box just vanishes in the game.
Yes.
But this is effectively somewhere you drop off and pick up parcels.
Yeah.
It's built into a wall. Now, assumedly, there is some sort of elevator system that takes the boxes away and then goes and gets them. When you do a request, you can hear kind of chunkling inside it, which is presumably mechanical elements moving it. Now, this does have sound in it. There are sound effects to this, but they're very digital speakery sound effects for the screen. I'd like a physical sound.
Exactly. So my concern is the element of cheating with essentially like an electric car projecting a sound like a V8 to get people to stand out the way.
Exactly.
You've got an in-game sound that the RAM actually mimics in a way, doesn't it?
Yes, it does a bit. We will lose that air rammy sound.
Yes. Are you sad?
A little bit, but as I say, I'd quite like a mechanical gearing in here that makes that sound before the doors open, so it sounds like it's loading the box in. And then, it would be nice to kind of... I still think it'll make quite a big sound, actually, even with the stepper. And there's not that we could put something on its drive as well, something physical to make a noise as it turns. There's nothing stopping us doing that. And I do agree. I think having a physical something making the noise when you're standing in front of it is really essential.
It's much more satisfying.
It is, because you can feel it. You feel the vibrations of it. And having speakers as well that do the beeps that you have on that, the noise when it's the wrong parcel and stuff. I don't know if it'll actually... So it's got that. I don't think you'll have heard that because the end video will cut it out. But that's the actual noise from in-game. So noises like that are obviously supposed to be a digital thing. So we'll just run speakers into here so it'll be louder than that because that's just coming out the monitor.
There is also this sort of almost heart-stopping little Android-esque or Windows-esque whirl.
Yes.
When you press the button here.
Yeah. Now, James actually animated that.
Yeah, that's quite unnerving and unnecessary, James.
Oh, no, it's not unnecessary. That's how it is in game for the exact amount of time. And it's just, I love the fact it's like, oh, and then...
Can you imagine how intolerant people would be of that in
real life?
To be, yes, exactly.
It's a dystopian future, so it's fine. People don't expect things to actually work really well. Yeah, and that's the thing, Heavy Bob. It doesn't need to be anything too massively strenuous. Just a drum kit hitting a metal plate. Yeah, it could just be anything, as long as it's something that you can't get your fingers trapped in, and not just like a backstage user getting their fingers into it. Could probably make a real box dispenser. So something inflatable. So our boxes are definitely not inflatable. We actually do some full-size crates, and I don't know what we'll be using at events. We were discussing this as well. Probably they're going to be polystyrene at events, I think, boxes.
Yeah.
Just because then they're cheaper. If people took them home, it wouldn't be a huge problem, and they need to be carrier aboutable without causing injury and dropping them and all that kind of stuff. So I think there might be polystyrene boxes. But one of the cool things about this case is that it's open at the back, or can be. So the idea was that you could park this thing in front of a sort of false wall at an event and have a door at the back. So when the door's shut, a prop person opens the back, puts the next box in, closes the door, and then the next person comes to get their mission. Now, what that requires is, this comes back to the programming a bit, you would need a switch at the back.
Yeah.
An electrical switch to go, or even better, to be honest, actually a micro switch on this back door.
Yes.
So when I open this back door, it prevents that door from opening.
Yes.
So basically, it just makes it swirl for longer until I've closed this door.
Let's be honest, seeing the person behind stage would be a lot worse than somebody merely losing a finger or a slightly traumatic injury.
God, yeah, absolutely. The breaking of immersion, that's an executable offence rather than just an imprisonable offence.
Yeah.
So absolutely. So there needs to be a micro switch at the back so that when I open this door to put the next crate in, and that's the other advantage of a polystyrene crate, is that they don't make any fucking noise.
They don't make a sound.
Because you can just plop it in. The other thing is, I want to run missions on this that's like, right, you need to pick up this box, and then you pick up the box and you go, right, you need to now take it to Weatherspoons at this address, and they have to run through Manchester with this box and take it to a Weatherspoons. Absolutely.
I also think that the boxes should have some kind of like an offset weight, something that makes them slightly awkward the way they drop. That it's just not entirely symmetrical.
Or some with water in.
Yeah, where the weight can move, like a silicon ball, weighted ball that moves in it. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. But yeah, so if there was a micro switch on the back, if this door was open and someone was trying to do the delivery mission, or it's a case of there's literally a queue of people trying to drop boxes off. Obviously, the door opens, they put their box in, the door closes. The person behind here will need some kind of camera feed to see what's going on, which is one thing. But they know as soon as that door's shut. Now, in theory, I suppose it needs to work both ways as well. This door shouldn't be able to be opened when that door's opened.
Exactly.
So this is going to have a locking mechanism of some sort.
They probably need some kind of little red, amber, green warning on the back, operated from the screen to see where in a sequence things are.
That's probably that. Because the person operating the back knows what the fuck they're doing. So that, so that would be okay.
You can't assume that because they are human.
Yeah, but humans tend to make less mistakes on this. To have another big, I think the human error factor is less likely than the mechanical error of having another locking mechanism or something like that. Because what electronically triggered silent locking mechanism could we use?
Why electronic? What mechanical avenues could we explore where there's actually a physical interlock that prevents someone being a little bit silly, somebody might be hasty, in a bad mood, and you don't want them to wrench open that door at the back?
I'm trying to think of a mechanical interlock that's easy.
So that's one for the...
Yeah, that's one to think about. But so that would be good. So, because I said, there might be... And that actually adds to the theatre of it. If there's a queue of people with boxes, and they keep putting boxes in and the boxes disappear, that is more impressive.
Absolutely.
So, and the cool thing is, there's room down here for 2 boxes in the back of this. So the person behind here can actually take boxes and put them in, and they've got, there's room. So you could make it very theatrical. You would need to have someone all day just putting boxes in it.
People would queue up for that chance.
Just attach a washing machine to this thing. That would make it rumble. That's very true. So that's that. Right. So what do we need to do? We need to cut a hole for that. Let's just do that.
Can we look at your snagging list just to see what potentially people have got in store? Just so people get an idea. They want to hang on and see this or nip up to the toilet.
If we tell them, they might run away because it's not that exciting today, really. So we're going to cut a hole for this. We're going to make this door a little bit quieter by cutting ourselves a little channel just in here to put some foam. Because I think running a bit of foam along this bottom bit, I might just go and get a bit of 6mm foam and we'll see how much it does. Because I don't think we'll quite even get a bit of 6mm in there, but we're only talking about taking maybe 3mm out of this. Just to sink it down. But I'll go and get a piece of foam and mount the magnetic sensor. So the magnetic sensors are these little chaps. Now these are needed.
You could do a wee close-up on one of the cameras so people can see what they are.
So if you bring the camera in, I'll show you where they have to go. So one needs to be up here.
Oh, stand by, stand by. We're having a camera failure moment.
Yeah.
There we are.
So one needs to be up here. So the
Why
idea
does
is
it need to be there?
to drill a hole through here to mount it. So one has to be the bottom of the door when it's closed, and one's the top. And this is part of its safety system in a way, because it knows when the door should be closed. If it isn't closed, then that means something's got in the way of it, i.e. a hand or a child or an old lady or something. And it knows that after half a second of not being where it should be, it'll open the door again.
Question for James here, I suppose, is the do we care element. So, for example, it's an old lady.
Of course we care.
Well, okay.
The company line is we do care. But yeah, there's a couple of other advantages of these, because especially when we're talking about duty cycle and stuff, if this thing gets out of step with itself, we also need something to zero the steppers with. Mm-hmm. And these will act as that as well. So it's a calibration thing. It'll also tell us if the rope is stretching, if the rope's come off. It'll tell us quite a lot of things to have these little sensors in. So all it really is just drilling a hole that will fit this sensor. So it's coming in, obviously, from inside on the other side, and then it just needs to sit flush with this bit here. And they're magnetic, so we can fill and paint over them.
So is that essentially a reed switch? Is it a Hall effect type sensor? For the benefit of viewers, what type of sensor is it?
It is a magnetic reed switch, and it has... So one of these will be on the door.
So it's literally on-off. It's not.
Yes.
It's not giving us speed or anything.
No, it's literally when it's close enough to that, it will trigger it.
So it's make or break.
Yes. So that is. So I guess the interesting thing will be we can mount the bottom one wherever we like, and then we'll need to mount this bit onto the door.
Yeah.
So okay, so here's a question. Let's turn this. Do we want to mount? This was something we were thinking about. Do we want to mount it on this section, or actually could we mount it up here?
Do you want to mount it up there? Yeah.
Because yes, that means we'll have to mount one, but they'd both be invisible then.
Well, in my humble opinion, you would mount one here at the top.
Yeah.
Mount one at the bottom, so that you don't have a magnet passing. You actually know the position. If this one's triggered, you know 100% the position of the door.
Yes.
Likewise, the bottom. If you've got one at the front, at the top corner there is a chance it can be triggered by both of them.
Well, no, because there's only one magnet on the door.
Aye.
So if the magnet's at the back, it's triggered. If it's at the front, there isn't another magnet passing it at any point. So I think we'd be all right, actually. And the advantage of having them in the back is we can move them about and make a kludge of it without having to worry about filling and sanding and all that kind of shit, because we're not going to see them.
Right, I'm thinking here of simple logic. Like, I should also say this is completely sprung upon me until literally 5 minutes ago I had no concept that this is what I was going to be doing this evening. So, thinking of this, you know, your basic logic gates.
Yeah.
If you have two magnets, one on each end of the door.
Yep.
But the only place you're getting a signal from, if you will, is the two switches.
Yep.
If this is yes, let's say yes is on.
Yep.
Then you know 100% the door's up, because there isn't another way that can be triggered.
Yep.
And likewise, the lower one, if that's yes, you know 100% the door's closed.
Yep.
There can be no other sort of scenario. That's using two magnets. If you're using one magnet on the door but two reed switches, I think there's a potential for uncertainty there.
How?
Well, that's a fair question too.
Because
Show me the position of how you can get the two reed switches with one door magnet.
Let's say the door magnet's at the back here.
So this is my preferred choice.
Yeah, so magnet at the back, therefore reed switch here. When the door is closed.
Yep.
We should have like a manual switch for this. Oh yeah, that's... So when the door is closed, that was something interesting we found out. It needs the momentum of the cylinder driving in really quick, which will be an interesting thing when we get to the steppers. So that magnet is now somewhere at the back here, so the other one would be there-ish.
Yeah, but if we have a derailment in the door or something else going on...
Yeah, but that's the whole point. So if it doesn't make it there, it knows there's a problem.
Right, okay, yeah.
That's why it's there. So it knows that the door should close within a second. After a second, if that hasn't been triggered, it means it never got there. So it knows to open the door again.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's the same thing, isn't it? One magnet at the back. So what was your alternative? You were talking about having one at the front. That was probably what was losing me.
Well, so it's more a case of just where you put this magnet. Now, the other option is that which does have advantages, is putting two magnets on the door. So putting one magnet on the door, say at this side, although that's a pain in the arse for wire. No, we could wire it across actually. So this is another option. Let me do this door again. Can you just see if that rope's jumped? I don't think it did, but it's off the inner pulley. Is it still on the inner pulley?
It appears to be. I've only just realised how sketchy that old bungee rope.
Oh, the bungee rope took us a long time to figure out.
Are the viewers aware of just how ghetto?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, hold it there when it triggers.
Can people see the bungee rope? Right, you lift that door up.
I love the fact that the whole thing rocks because of the momentum of the door moving, and when that bungee catches it, it just rocks the whole cabinet. It's hilarious.
But yeah, 3 o'clock in the morning, the bungee rope was what was available, I suppose. Have we got any interesting comments?
Yeah, Traumatic stepper drivers. How much do they cost? That's interesting. And do we know how to drive those? Are they driven as easily by a Raspberry Pi? I've never heard of those. Read chat. That's interesting. Yeah. How much do they cost? Let's do some shopping.
All right, what are we looking at here?
So this is a stepper motor that apparently doesn't need... it can detect all the things. Good God. Wow.
Are we impressed at technology or impressed at the price?
Unimpressed with the price. Yeah, okay. let's put that to one side because they're 10 times the price of a normal one. For one that would drive this door. Like 200 quid rather than 20 quid. Super cheap, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we do need to remember that in the future, the contract for building these Covalex units does go to the lowest bidder.
The value using 3D printing, yeah. So I don't know how big they get. So the sort of size we're looking at here is, let me find the NEMA I was looking at. So this door's pretty heavy. So we're looking at sort of... let me throw a one in chat of the sort of size we're looking at.
Are the viewers seeing the screen right now?
No, I'm just going to just share this in chat. So that's about the horsepower that we need for this, for doing this. Because this is the interesting thing. We've got to open this door in less than a second. So if we had to,
how long have we actually got a number? After all these
less
months,
than
years of research and development.
Well, we know we want it to be less than a second from a point of view of like how to get it as in game, and this is pretty good.
Frame by frame, from in game to time, exactly what we have there. It was calibrated to within nanoseconds. But you're telling me you've forgotten that number now, is that correct?
Well, it wasn't. It was as fast as we could get it, I believe.
I don't think it was. I recall we were varying the air pressure of this cylinder.
Yeah, but interestingly, I'm now just running at 60 psi. 60, that's all I'm doing. And I've not got any of the. This is the other interesting thing. What I haven't put is the limiters on this anymore, on the outflows. And it seems to be running better without them, interestingly.
All that research in vain.
I know. Yeah.
Devastated. Wait, so we put pneumatic dampers in at probably about 4 o'clock in the morning. It turned out to be a waste of time.
Yeah, slower means safer, yeah, but it's... well, this is the thing. If it's a little bit slow, it doesn't really matter. So this is the interesting thing.
Patience. I mean, look at me. Staring at that blue swirl for, what, a third of a second.
Yeah.
And already missed a heartbeat.
Yes. No, I think the thing is... The sort of the 3D printers and things like that are lifting virtually no weight. Yeah. They're not really doing a huge amount of mechanical load. That sort of motor that I put in chat, that is basically the minimum power-wise we can get away with on this. So because it's got to lift this door fast. And the issue with the gearing of it.
How heavy is the bridge on that CNC?
Quarter of a ton.
And what moves it?
The motors that are in this. Well, there's two.
So the two motors that actually move the bridge.
They're
basically stepper motors.
Yeah, they are stepper motors. I can't remember what size they were. Yeah, I think they might be 23s. We could take the panel.
What's your maximum speed on that? Can you remember meters per second?
Without it jumping the rails. Let's take the cover off this. Because this machine runs... I dropped a screw. That's not good. Sure that one wasn't needed. Little steppers are just going to break as well.
So what's the difference between a stepper motor and the motor in your hairdryer?
So a stepper motor has 2 sets of coils. So half of it is coiled. So you need to. So if you just charge one coil, it'll move usually an 1/8 of a rotation. These things are a 16th of a rotation, I think, and then they won't go any further until you charge the other coil instead.
Yeah.
So you have to alternate to get it to spin, and that makes it exceedingly accurate.
And what controls the energizing of these coils?
42-volt DC.
And how accurate could that be?
Oh, I mean, this machine, even given its size, is accurate to 2 micron, I think, or no, 10 micron.
10 micron, and the bridge weighs quarter of a ton.
Yeah, so this is... Well, the weight isn't actually that...
Oh, the compressor. Now, have we got noise reduction happening?
Yeah, they can hear us, even though we can't hear each other. It's insane.
So people are wondering, why are we shouting at each other right now?
Yeah, I know. It's really bizarre. Right, so can you get the camera into that, and then we could actually look this up. So that is the motor that runs the bridge. If someone would like to take down that number and then write it in chat for me, that would be amazing. And then we could actually look at what this is.
Right, I didn't hear a word you said for
I
the
know,
compressor.
it's insane, isn't it? So yeah, I'm holding this here so someone can write down what it says in chat. So the 1.8 degrees, so that's telling you what a single step is. So this has got a hell of a lot of coils in it. If one step is 1.8 degrees.
Yeah.
And 4.2 amp running at, I think these are 42 volt.
So for the benefit of viewers that maybe aren't conversant with what stepper motors are, where they might be used, etc., they're ubiquitous in industry and have been for probably about 30 years.
Yeah. And so there's 2 of those driving this bridge. Now, the thing is, when we're talking about an event build like this unit, I think Jamie would agree with me here. You work out how big you need it to be, and then you want it about twice that size.
Yes, exactly.
Because you don't want to put it under any stress at all, because stress means failure, and when you're at events, failure is not an option. So everything has to be at least twice as big as it needs to be, so that it definitely can't fail.
Does that apply to your personnel as well as your stepper motors?
Oh, it's a good question. That is a good question. Let's try and not break my CNC. Yeah, you certainly have twice as many people as you would. Or you certainly have access to twice as many people as you think you need. That's for sure.
And is more people more stress or less stress?
Now you're getting into semantics. Depends how good they are at what they do. We're very lucky in that we get a lot of volunteers.
I'm just happy to blame JR immediately, but if you insist, we will look at the
evidence. I could hear a voice.
Yes, no, that's one of my... Someone has just followed. Thank you for the follow. I can't see who you are.
So why would somebody follow you?
That is a good... Right, answers in chat for that one. That's a very fundamental question, isn't it? Why would someone follow us? That is a good question. Basically, when you follow someone on Twitch, it tells you when they're streaming and stuff. And the more... It's life-affirming as well, so the more people that follow you, the better person you are.
Is that the case?
I'm just happy to blame JR immediately, but if you insist... we will look at the evidence.
I've not put this together right. So what's is there any more word on these magical stepper motors?
Right, what have we got here on chat? All right, there's...
JR might be a dickhead, but apparently he's got some great friends.
It's a NEMA 34.
Thank you for the subscription, whoever that was. I will look at who all these people are in a second, I promise. But thank you very much for the subscription.
Just so you know, Heavy Bob wins.
Excellent.
He transcribed the stepper motor before everyone else.
Fantastic, Heavy Bob. Well done. He is a dependable human being. Right. So what have we determined it is?
Oh, I've scrolled way past it, but it was NEMA 34.
34, yeah, so it's bigger than I'm looking at. But...
Well, now, somebody has quite rightly corrected and said it's a stepper driver. And Heavy Bob is a horrible human being, apparently. We don't care, Heavy Bob. You can be horrible if you like. If you can identify a NEMA 34, that's good enough for us.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's a difference between a stepper motor and a driver. I mean, I would personally call them the would I call it a driver? See, I might think the box is the driver, the control box for them.
I think in common parlance now, I mean, calling them stepper motors is ubiquitous now. It is the English language. We're in the UK, so I think we get to call the shots. We didn't reference where he was from, but no, being the owner of the language, we're going to just say it's a stepper motor.
That's fine.
And I would call also a driver the electrical as opposed to electronic. component that actually...
We could, if you bring the camera around here, I could show you what I count as a driver, and we'll see just how... Oh no, where's my...
What have
where's
you lost?
my key?
Ah.
Oh no, that could be... I'm going to open this up. Then I'm going to open this box here, if I can find the key. Oh, here it's...
Is a Leatherman going to cut it?
No, so back of this box I have it.
Aha.
I have it.
Wrong box.
So this is the control system for my machine.
Cam your jets. We're not there yet with the camera.
No.
Right, the big reveal.
Big reveal. It's not as dusty as I thought. So these guys I would count as the drivers.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would call them drivers.
So this is relatively interesting to see how these machines work. So you've got this guy, which is your interface box. So this is goes up to 4-axis controller. So that's your control box. That's what this cable goes to the panel that you click buttons on. And then each of these axes, so you can see we've got X, Y, Z, and C. So this would do a C axis. Now, this might actually only be a 3-axis controller, but you can switch between Y and C. So C would be if you had a rotary add-on, so you could do you do rotary milling, but I think it would replace the Y-axis.
Now, you probably just lost about 99.5% of the viewers there.
No, these are all very highly... So basically, the Y-axis is the longitudinal, so as it goes further towards the wall, sort of towards us and towards the wall. Now, you could replace that with basically a rotary axis, which is just a chuck, like a lathe, but it would just turn it slowly, so you could carve around
so
a round
that
thing.
Component, what kind of voltages and currents are we talking about?
This is a 24-volt controller, but that's sending signals to these. So each axis is getting sent to one of these. This is the motor controller, and that's quite clever because it means that it doesn't matter how big or small a machine is. This box is exactly the same.
Exactly. So.
And it's sending stuff to this, which these are running at... I want to say these are entirely Chinese, so I don't know. These have got AC coming into them, so these are 240 volts.
Right, well, basically what I was kind of angling at is that the control circuitry is in milliamps, very low DC volts. By the time you get into handling what we would consider the drivers, and you're looking at inductive loads, etc., then you're into the realms of whole amps.
Yeah.
You know, you're into 42 volts at, let's say, 10 amps for, these drivers are probably...
The other side of this box has this guy, which is actually the router controller. So that's a 7 kilowatt router controller, which I've never really played with, interestingly.
Right.
So do you want to see a cool thing? This is now me and Jamie geeking out over the CNC because we've never pulled this apart and filled with it, really.
No, we didn't.
So one of the cool things that this does is this comes out. Right, and that actually gives you your live RPM and stuff of the machine.
Yes.
You can't see it because the door's closed. But it does have just the same pickup they use on a USB 2 driver on the back.
Right.
So I could actually run a cable and we could actually mount this somewhere else.
Some of our viewers back in who are probably drifting away now wondering, what the hell are they actually talking about? And the question at hand, what are drivers? So, on the machine we're looking at just now, this is a 7 kilowatt machine, and it can be controlled by the types of current involved in solid state memory.
Yeah.
So that's really what we're getting at. A driver, in our parlance, is the electrical devices used to communicate between the hardware, the stepper motor, and the communication software. So that's what we would call a driver rather than a
Sweet
motor.
pager. Yeah, tells me how many RPM I'm doing wherever I am. But yeah, no, I quite
How
like
many RPM do you run that thing at?
24,000.
How
Is
many times
that
have you...
18?
24.
No, I think that's 24, isn't it? Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
How many times have we changed the ceramic bearings?
What? Right, yeah. So I've got all the bearings. You can start that story while I find the bearings.
Well, I have to say, none of us were aware of ceramic bearings, but we'd never actually played with them until John destroyed his router operating it at Mach 4 instead of whatever was required at the time. I took one of these ceramic ball bearings and put it in the jaws of a very high quality English vise and tightened the vise as hard as I could, and then hit the back of the vise with a hammer, which is basically vise crime.
Yeah. Oh, indeed.
And I managed to dent the hardened jaws of the vise with a ceramic ball bearing, leaving it completely unmarked. Ceramic ball bearings are next level magic technology.
They are. So this is...
They're literally something that the aliens left us.
So this is interestingly an interesting selection of Chinese ceramic bearings. So these sit inside the router. So the router can spin at 24,000 RPM. I'm going to sneeze. Right, that is all the dust that I've just kicked up.
It's not a COVID sneeze.
No, it's not. It's I've just taken this out of drawer dust. Now, when we were about to cut the dragonfly, the router broke spectacularly, snapped a 16mm carbide bit like it was spaghetti, and just seized up solid, didn't it?
Yeah, in an instant.
In an instant. So we took it apart and discovered that...
Where was the deadline while this was going on?
Oh, well, this was like the first week of us cutting the dragonfly. So we were already a week behind when we started, effectively, where we wanted to be, because it took longer to get the contract sorted than we wanted. So we were every day was causing us huge issues, wasn't it? Now, these were going to be a week from China to get these replacements. Now, the Chinese are amazing because what we discovered is that, I don't know if you'll be able to see this. So this is a replacement Chinese bearing that eventually arrived like 3 weeks later. But there's a code up here. See if I can get it in camera. So there's a code just written on the side of the bearing there, and another code written there on the bearing. Now the cool thing is, this is the Chinese code, and this is the German code of the part they copied. Isn't that polite of them?
Isn't it?
Isn't
They're
it?
given credit.
Yeah, it's like a credit. But what it meant was that we bought the German bearings.
Yes.
Which we could get next day.
Actually, that's not true. We got a British copy of a German bearing from Brammer Bearings, did we not?
No, there were German bearings. They weren't Brammer,
German.
but yeah, they were German bearings. Now the interesting thing is that the bearings we bought cost £55 more than the whole router from China.
Yes, that's correct.
Which, yeah, I won't get the spare routers on the desk, but yeah, the whole router, water-cooled 7-kilowatt router, was £55 cheaper than the pair of bearings we got to replace them out the second one. So that is a good lesson for everybody. Make sure you have spares on the shelf for these machines.
Somebody somewhere is wondering what the relevance of that to putting an RFID in the middle of the Covalex unit is.
Nothing at all. We were just, well, we've gone down a little bit of a rabbit hole talking about CNC machines there, haven't we?
So, I'm just wondering, when people tune into this live stream, are they bitterly disappointed now that they haven't yet seen this RFID getting installed? What were they expecting? Surely there must be a lot of disappointed people by now.
Oh, I doubt it. These guys are crazy. So I'm just quickly catching up with chat. That's a good shout. People giving us tips on which drivers to use. That's 1 second. Oh.
Well, we've got a delivery here.
So I was disappointed. Oh, heavy Bob. Cranky most of the day. Yeah, it's and that's the thing. That's a good tip there for the 3.5 amp.
What's the tip?
Just to make sure we're using a. If you're using NEMA 23 steppers under 3.5 amp, seriously consider using a TMC 5161 drivers. I will look those up. I say it is overkill for this. It wants to be overkill. Everything we do tends to be overkill, just because we don't want to. It wants to be. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it kind of wants to be overkill.
It does, because today the stepper motor's getting used to lift this door. Tomorrow there's going to be something tied onto the door, getting used for a ridiculous purpose because it's there.
Yeah, there is that. I mean, this will be life one of it. And the other thing is, we're not restricted by space. We've got loads of space.
And we're not restricted by power.
No, we're not restricted by
More's
power.
better, always.
And, you know, it's one of those things, if you were sizing this for a machine that you wanted to, like, make really energy efficient and all that kind of stuff, yeah, you would take all that into consideration. Our main consideration is as big as humanly possible that we can get away with, so that we can massively overspec the thing.
Because massive overspec allows us to explore the envelope of where the machine might end up.
Yes.
You know, can we break the speed of sound opening and closing the door? Can we chop tomatoes with it?
Yes. Jamie, by the way, is the person that forced me virtually at gunpoint to do the Chris Roberts toast on the laser, by the way. That's, right, so we've got something achieved. Let's do this.
So what are you doing here?
I'm just changing the collar on this router.
Why? What's wrong with the collar that's on it?
It's not round.
And why do we need a round collar?
Because we're basically going to create a square.
Are you making a square hole with a round collar? Is that what's happening?
Yes.
Now, is that going to confuse people?
No. Well, the problem with this offset. So this one is designed to run across a straight edge, or be a curvy one. I just want the curvy one today. So we're just going to take this off. This is another thing. This would be us live for a whole weekend. It'd be terrible. We wouldn't get anything done. I'd like to make some of these because they're just acrylic.
Just from my own humble perspective, actually maybe making a feeble attempt at joining in here, why aren't we using a sacrificial bit of timber on the base of this to play with, optimize the solution, and then put the optimized solution into...
Oh, you mean for this? Because
we don't care, and we're just going for it. It's either going to be right and wonderful and the planets will have aligned, or...
no, so I don't...
We can bodge it.
Cutting a hole. Well, no, cutting. If we're deciding that the solution is cutting a hole in the bottom and then covering it with something, so that we can control that material and that thickness of material, having the hole there doesn't actually affect our end product.
No.
So I don't have worries. We can't really get this wrong. He says.
Right, you heard him saying that, right? We can't get this wrong.
Well. No, I'm going to stick to that. We can't get this wrong. There's nothing that can go wrong here that's going to break the unit, because all we're doing is cutting a bloody hole. In fact, we could actually just cut this with a bloody hole saw.
We could have had it cut probably 11 different ways by now. I think between starting the stream and now, we could have put a gerbil in there with some cheese, and it would have...
He could have just eaten his way through. You're not wrong. You are not wrong.
But efficiency has never, ever, even once been one of our goals.
No, thank goodness. No, efficiency has never been one of the things I was aiming for, really.
So, the worst carton in the world that you introduced us to previously, this under here, there is quite a bit of scope for this
burning it
to move sideways. You're not allowed to burn it.
Why?
Just because trees.
Oh, were you supposed to burn trees? I thought it was the whole point of trees.
But how much lateral movement can you have in there? Like, the position of this box is random.
Oh,
The
right,
card
yeah.
on the bottom of the box is going to be able to move in a circle.
That's the thing. We need to know. This is all about the range, isn't it?
So this is where I'm questioning the very existence of these RFID things. If I can't read that from within the margin of error of where this box is, why can't we stick it underneath?
I think it's mainly the. Well, okay, two things.
Are we limited by current technology?
No, well,
or are we just not trying hard enough?
No. So one of the issues about sticking it underneath, that's your access gap.
Yes.
How are you going to go on then? Stick it underneath.
You stick it on a stick, you slide it in, and you leave it there with the wires hanging out the stick.
Yeah, but then we're not going to place it. We can't get back to it easily. It's going to be easier having it accessible from the top, I feel. Are we going to have people have to put this box exactly within nanometers? No, I'm hoping not.
Position?
The other thing to remember is that I really want to be able to take this apart, take all the electronics out of it very easily for repainting it. So anything we can do to make it more dismantleable, the better. Can you see a tape measure anywhere?
Well, if you were a tape measure, where would you hide? Can we not use a bit of string and just make a cross?
No, I don't own enough tape measures, and that's the thing. And I swear I own 3,000 tape measures as well. It's not like a lack of tape measures in my life. I just lose them. Or they congregate. They're like sort of little lemmings. They all sort of, they like detritus all turn up in the same place.
Right. Is this just find a middle?
What? Well, yeah, sort of.
Well, why don't we just Stone Age it?
No.
With a bit of string from that to that. Like, the power tool cord is close enough.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, we'll sort of, I mean, just not stand in the way. We'll kind of eyeball it. It'll be fine. Again, for the accuracy we're going for here. They are not long enough. Well, no, they are. They're fine. So I'm just going to clamp these down.
Oh, yours is long enough. I get the tapered end. Can we turn this round?
Yeah. Yes. Oh, look! Someone's brought me tape measures. Thank you.
Yay! Let it be tape.
Someone's listening.
Oh, I want more.
You always do.
I'm just so needy. I'm sorry. Please,
Why
sir.
do you want more?
Please, sir.
What's wrong with your?
More?
What's wrong with your clamp? Oh, because you're on that. Do you just want a longer clamp?
A longer clamp would be nice, yes. Yeah. I was trying not to be so needy. Oh, we have longer clamps.
Yeah, there's all the clamps in here.
There's literally a wall of clamps.
Yes.
A corner of clamps.
It's literally.
But is there a word for a gathering of clamps?
I don't know. I think this stream should.
A clamp of clamps?
A clamp of clamps would be hilarious.
A collective noun.
Hello, golden triangles. Yeah, apologies that we're not really looking at chat a huge amount here. No need to put in the bottle. Let's. Use computer vision to detect boxes. Yes, no, I'm not suggesting that there are not better solutions than the RFID system. The thing to remember is here, people, the first task of this, the first goal is to get it working with the things I already have in front of me. Because there's no point reinventing a wheel we've already invented when we don't even know whether this wheel works yet or not. And this is the thing, we've bought all this gear now, or had it already, to the most part. So we're going to find out whether this works. If it doesn't work, we will replace it with a different system. The biggest issue I have with the camera system is we're going to be able to see the camera. The thing I like about the RFID system is we can hide it, or that's the idea anyway. That's the idea. Right, so I want...
What kind of bit do you want here?
I've already got. Well, it's just a straight router bit.
All right. So the compressor's running now. I have no idea what John said there.
Well, yeah, it's mad, isn't
Wonders
it?
of RTX
Yeah.
2060s, is it?
It is indeed the wonders of RTX 2060s. That's probably a huge hole for this. But that's fine.
How big a hole are we going for?
We don't really need that big a hole, if we're honest. Let's bring these in a little bit.
Now, given that the boxes aren't calibrated, you could literally make that anywhere you liked. Say you forced the RFID to be one corner of the box, that would make people put the box in properly.
Yeah, but
you just know you can't trust people to do that.
Well, the problem is, though, that people aren't going to know there's an RFID system. Take those clamps off for me. The people using it aren't going to know that there is an RFID system.
So it needs to be able to... Because I'm just second guessing. Somebody's going to ask why you're putting it in the middle.
I think the middle's...
Another of these rhetorical questions.
Okay. I think the middle's as good a place as any. I mean,
well, it allows you to put the box in literally any orientation, and
yes, I think
it's always going to read it.
Yes, I think that's the thing. You could put it in at any angle. Let's go for that. You can put it in at any angle, and you'll be absolutely fine.
We need to do this at the same time, on
yes.
the same side.
Yep.
That was a bit of a Laurel and Hardy moment there. I bet nobody noticed.
Little bit. This, by the way, is called laziness. What I'm doing here is a very lazy jig, in case people are unsure. I haven't measured anything.
Jig.
We've eyeballed everything, but it's fine. We're still going to make a beautifully neat hole of roughly the right size. We're all good.
So why is it called a jig?
I don't know. That is the sort of thing I would expect you to be telling me right now. Why is it called a jig?
Not a dance played to music in 6/8 time.
You see, you already know a hell of a lot more about jigs than I do. I knew it was a dance, but right, we're now going to do some routing.
I also wonder if the noise cancelling's working here. There's a lovely smell of burning birch ply. So here you can see how he's literally using a round peg to make a square hole. So he's just adjusting the depth and then cutting deeper every pass.
Too much chat in my way. Sorry. I lost my headphones there.
Yep, the audience missed that. He literally blew his headphones off.
I just need to...
So there's the damage you did there.
Yeah.
Are you happy with that?
Well, not yet. I'm not finished yet. I just need to...
Why we're not finished?
Just because...
What were you doing?
Because I may or may not have not had a spanner when I put this bit in, so I just hand tightened it in.
Is there a chance that router was routing and the bit wasn't turning?
No, it was just ever so slightly sliding inward as I was putting downward
that's
pressure
why
on
you
it.
Couldn't get the plunge.
Yeah.
Right,
well, I just felt it.
So this is take 2 where we're trying just a little bit harder.
Yeah. 'Try harder. 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 'Try harder.
Ah, that sounds way better. You can actually hear it cutting now. Right, can you show us what that router bit looks like? Because I'm sure there's people wondering what actually cuts wood like that.
So that's just a straight flute, 6.3 mil or quarter-inch router bit. Nothing's fancy. It's a cheapie. So these are just hardened steel rather than carbide, because I don't put.
And if you look at the cut there, you'll see it's nice and clean with no burnt bits. So some credit to John. He does make things look easy. But if I did that, it would be like all black edges and burnt. So
Well,
there's actually a tiny little bit of skill involved in that.
If we're going to be
not much, obviously. But,
no, come on.
Tiny bit.
If we're going to be really technical, we'll show how to do this bit as well. So we're going to take this jig off, and we're just going to tidy up. I wouldn't normally do this, but since we're doing a router demonstration,
because I imagine a lot of people on chat here haven't actually used a router before.
No, far more. This is the thing. Most of the people in chat here are amazingly skilled human beings at IT. And also some amazing makers, but most of them know a lot more about IT than I ever will if I did it for 1,000 years, but probably haven't used big power tools a huge amount of their life.
So what is that item, what is that thing that we use that plugs into the wall? You know, it's got RJ45 connectors in it. What is that device we use?
Computer.
No. That somehow or another takes magic from the outside world.
Right. So you're seeking the difference between a router and a router?
What's the difference? Because how many people call that router a router? Is that just an American thing?
Yeah, okay.
What do Americans call this machine, and what do Americans call
the internet box?
There we go. Internet box. Yeah,
can we have some?
Tell me.
Yeah, it's the internet. Yeah, is there a difference? Because it's spelled the same.
Like, this is really a question to the American audience. Like,
why
do you call the thing that the internet comes from the same as the thing that makes holes in wood?
Well, if I was going to make a guess, I would say because it routes information. It's probably one of many types of informational routers for routing information. Why this is called a router? Because there's the thing, I would call that a router and this a router. Now, is a route, like, at some point, I suppose a route, like a channel cutter?
Point here. It's absolutely directed at them. Imagine you're American. What do you call the internet box?
I can't. Well, there's lots of people saying things in chat, so
let's
find
see what the
out.
Chat says, because I'm green. Let's say I'm a Luddite. I live in a hole in the ground. Let's see what the chat is saying. Somebody likes the colour. Oh, someone's getting triggered by imperfection. That was great. All right, I'm going to have to scroll back because there's actually some of these guys who are really switched on. Oh, put a camera on top looking inside the box. Why did nobody think of that, John? Like, that is really literally the most obvious thing that anybody could ever have said.
What, as a detection method?
No. I
think that's what they say, yeah.
Talking about for the stream, but yeah, as a detective.
Because that's the thing. I'd say my issue with the camera way of doing this is that.
Using a QR code, that'd be good. Well, QR codes
it's
are permanent.
What if something gets wiped? Yeah, what if...
Use a camera. All right, there's quite a few suggesting cameras.
I say if the RFID doesn't work, we'll go down the camera route as another option. I think if the RFID works as a solution, it's one we already own. So...
All right, hello to Golden Triangles. We just got here. Probably 5 minutes ago. Use computer vision to detect boxes. Yeah, but that's not really which box. How's your computer vision detecting which box?
Oh, it can definitely do that, but...
Can it though? Because these boxes are going through intergalactic space, they're getting covered in graffiti.
Well, that is the other thing. Every box would have to be visually different that we use.
It would have to be visually different, a different shape, and then as soon as you dropped it or stabbed it, kicked it in a different shape.
Ran through the rain in Manchester with it for 4.5 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
and missed an event because I sent you on a thing. Right, so I'm just going to tidy this edge up just because we're talking about routers. So
right,
I've put, so this is a bearing follow bit. So it's quite interesting because it's got a bearing here, so that's going to run along the side of.
It's literally going to bear on the side.
Yes, of this, and that's what's going to let it follow around, and it's just going to round over the edge. So I just need to make sure that the bearing will contact with the wood fine and not chew.
So
I will try and do this the right way around so you can see it.
Right, and I'm going to have a look at some more chat. Hopefully you can hear me over the noise of that router. First objective, make it work. Second objective, go back and make it work better. Exactly. Don't cut the hole if you don't know it's going to work. No, you didn't get the memo there. We're cutting the hole even if it isn't going to work.
I'm just happy to blame JR
See,
immediately.
Heavy Bob's been
but
practical
if you
there.
insist, we will look at the evidence.
Thank you for the follow. Well, being practical, never say heavy Bob. So now I've rounded that corner off, so it's not a sharp edge now. It's all nice and smooth.
Yeah, we have never let practicality get in the way of progress.
So obviously this hole's way bigger than this. So that's a good thing. It means we can build a mounting bracket for this. It means we can screw the mounting brackets in either side, and then we can cover this hole up with one material or another to hide this little guy. But it does mean we can get into this a lot easier. We can run a cable into this space here and just put tape over it for when we're painting.
Just so people can see the space that we're talking about here.
Yeah.
There's this little
So it's
gap.
this gap that we're running cables in, because this is the interesting thing. This unit is in two pieces. If you just hold the camera there, I should be able to actually pick it up because they're not attached together. This is in two pieces. So there's a top half of this unit and a bottom half of this unit just for transport, and both have wheels. So the only gap we're actually dealing with here is this bit here. So we've got to run the cable into there, but that's just fine. As I say, I wouldn't want to be trying to feed technology through that, but we can definitely now mount that. We've got a lot more room, and that can sit in there. And also, it's big enough if we want to put a camera in here or something like that later. But I have every confidence in this RFID solution. I really do. I'm not hugely worried that this isn't going to work. Is the tough thing. I don't actually think it won't work.
Well, Heavy Bob's not convinced, so we're just going to have to roll with it and see where we end up.
I say I'm not hugely worried that this isn't going to work, but then I've never seen it not working. So
I love all this backseat development. It feels familiar. I'm not sure if that's a derogatory comment or not. That's not purely professional.
No. So that's a backseat comment about Star Citizen, because that's entirely how Star Citizen is developed. People going, "Oh no, you shouldn't do the flight model like that. Oh no, I want my guns to fire backwards." It's all that shit. So right, so we've made a hole for that. So that's cool. We're going to. I don't have any.
Oh yeah, golden triangles, it's just how it's pronounced. We know that. It's still no reason not to have a dig at you for it, though.
Right, so we should have a wire somewhere.
Because people who have bad internet like to think they're getting rooted. That's probably yeah, that's a fair comment. Barcode, checking the colour. See, just check the colour. You have to consider if this is actually even if we're not projecting into the future here.
We are. That's the whole of what Star Citizen is.
Yeah, but I was going to bring the level down a little bit. You're in Manchester. You've got people running around the pubs with boxes.
Yeah.
One of them's going to come in covered in vomit. Your suggestion of just check the colour
you've been to Manchester then?
I have maybe not so much been there as read about it in the back of a newspaper
pub toilet,
from the fish and chip shop, which is where I get most of my worldly information. I travel as far as Moffat.
Yeah, it is true. Jamie does not stray far from home.
I love how self-aware GR are.
Right, okay, so that's our cable, so we need to make a hole for this cable. So that's going to sit there. We've got this amount of cable. to play with at the moment.
Right, I would say that's more cable than anybody ever needs, really.
Well, not really, because it doesn't reach the pie. So it is not actually enough.
I've had huge problems in my life not being able to reach pie as well. I can only sympathise.
Right, so we need to make a cunning hole for this. Let's unplug all of this crap.
So what kind of hole-making device are we going to use for this?
A drill. I think there's only really a drill that's going to do it for us here.
And are we going to use any kind of fancy bit here?
No.
Are we going to use...
No, we're just going to make loads of holes for the drill.
All right.
This is going to be a very inelegant hole making process. I don't have a special drill bit that... I suppose I could get chisels. Oh, I haven't played with my new chisels. I need to sharpen them.
Chisels, and I haven't played with them yet.
Well, they're not new chisels; they're very old chisels. So I got them at a.
Are they Martell's chisels?
They're Sheffield steel, so they can't be any better than that. But whenever I go to anywhere near an antique shop, the only thing I actually ever look for are chisels, because modern chisels are made of cheese rather than steel. It would seem. So I searched the land for Sheffield steel chisels. That is not a Sheffield steel. Oh no, that one will be. But they're like it's the old handles of the things that are fucked on them usually though. So you kind of have to make.
So what's so good about Sheffield steel? So here's the kind of chisels we're talking about here for the uninitiated.
Well, the chisel don't really look any different, but you can sharpen a Sheffield steel chisel. And
why can you not sharpen a Chinese chisel made from cheese?
Because it's made of cheese, it just melts.
Mm-hmm.
They're just you just can't keep a good blade on them. Right, so this is dead center, isn't it? Right. So we're just going to be very happy with it. Yeah, I'll be fine.
Is that hey diddle in the middle? So we're going for the old do a line of holes and join them together.
Yes.
Gag, yes.
Yes. That is exactly what we're doing. See, a good chisel you shouldn't need a hammer for.
Well, somebody's probably cringing at you doing that, not using a wooden mallet, using your hand.
Oh no, a chisel shouldn't. In my personal opinion, if you need to hit a chisel to get through a little bit of wood like this with any kind of hammer, your chisel isn't sharp enough.
Well, if you were a millennial, would you still be hitting it with your hand? Are we allowed to say that?
I don't know. How thick's this wood? Is this 18mm? I might regret saying that now.
Yeah, I was wondering if there was going to be any moments of regret here. It is 18. Is it 18 or 19?
18 if it's... 18. I've only got 18 and 12.
That's almost 3/4 of an inch in imperial units for the
there we go.
Uninitiated amongst us.
There we go. Let's not leave that on the floor. Right, so if I feed the cable through... Other advantage of having quite a large hole in the middle, that Jamie should be able to find it.
There we go, it just came through, it's right there.
Lovely. So here we go. So that's that cable. So that's fed that through. Let me get this the right way around. So if you want to hold that there, Jamie, just in the middle, and we'll see how much...
Oh, now you want it in the middle. You made a hole in a totally random place. Now you want to hold it in the middle.
Yeah, so we either need to move the pie and all of this shite down or extend the cable. It's going to be move all the pie down, but I'm not going to do that now. Let's work out where all the other cables go.
How hard is it to extend this cable? Is there a proprietary plug on the other end of it?
No, I mean, I could just make a longer cable. I've got all the bits to make.
Yeah, you can do that like off screen.
Yeah. So that's fine. So that's cool. So that's all we need to do for... We've got a mounting solution for that.
Now, you did dodge a bullet here, if I can also show the twitchers. The plug on the bottom of that is probably 25mm or an inch projection down. We've literally dodged a bullet there.
Well, yeah, but this is another reason why it was never going to just be slide-inable in there. I mean, to be fair, we could have put an angle connector on it or something.
Of course we could have. But just to show that the planets aligned slightly there.
Yeah.
We did luck out
a little bit. That is a really deep thing.
Or maybe we did consider it. It's up to you guys to make your mind up. What did we do here? Was that just pure luck?
That was just pure luck. Right, cool. So
what's next?
So we'll need to 3D print a mount for this at some point. For the time being, we just need to find a piece of wood to hold it perfectly flush with this top surface.
Yeah.
So what we could end up doing, we might go away from the Covalex design a little bit. If we need to lift this even higher, if there's a bit of a bowl on the bottom of our boxes, we could actually have that sitting higher, than whatever covers it bowl up a little bit.
No, I think that we have to assume the worst in people. They're going to fling the box in. If I have a projection that's subject to wear, subject to impact, and there isn't a projection in game.
No, there isn't. So,
we could almost do the wee... is there anybody actually watching this has no idea? Is there a screenshot we can bring up of how this Covalex unit looks?
We tried to find one with an open box.
Is there anybody out there who could help us out?
Has anyone got a picture of what this box looks like on the inside? Drew, to Star Citizen immediately! In an hour's time, someone will be able to do a box mission and then send us a picture. Someone is on that right now, I can tell. I feel it in my bones.
I would love to think so.
Yep, so
I'm not convinced, being new to all of this streaming malarkey.
I tell you what, whoever gets us the first photograph of the inside of a Covalex unit gets 250 JREX. How about that?
Is that valuable?
Yes, no, it is. That's our own currency, and you can use it to purchase exclusive Star Citizen artwork that you can only buy with JREX. So there you go.
So how low does a person have to go to get some of these? So somebody that maybe hasn't heard of these, just how low? I mean, a picture. Any kind of picture, you can see where this is going. Let's get back to the RFID.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not giving them away for any old picture. Certainly not from Heavy Bob, anyway. I don't trust him. Right, cool.
Right, so that's that. Are we going to make a cover right now, or are we going to go look at that snagging list? No,
because the next stage for this is we need to just literally stick dods of wood under it and stuff to get it to a height, and then test it. And this is now the testing phase, because this is sitting where it's going to sit, and then we'll make covers and things.
Right.
So snagging list now is these sensors. Where do we want to put these little magnetic sensors? Because we did start talking about that, and then just entirely ignored them because we got on to talking about steppers and all this sort of shit.
So, I think we can agree that...
Can we? Oh, good God.
I think we can. I think really it answered itself, and there was a bunch of rhetorical questions, but one at the back's essential, and the position of whether we use one magnet or two, there's also a degree of redundancy. That was actually something I was going to say.
Yeah, no,
the degree of redundancy is something you don't have with the one magnet.
No, and this is the other thing. During our time of me, between the point where I was arguing one magnet and now, I've already now decided that I actually favour two magnets. Because...
How many units of currencies do I get for that?
You can have 5. You can have 5 JREX for that.
Oh.
You'll have to open an account.
Somebody's counting.
You'll have to open an account on our website. Right. So the reason I'm thinking 2 magnets is we line this one up with this, and then the front one, and then we can't adjust them without moving the whole sensor, rather than moving just the magnet on the door.
Yeah.
So I think that is my rationale for we can fine tune both of them separately, much easier.
Intuitively, I think that was.
Yeah. Now, one thing that is quite interesting is the bounce on this. This actually comes to about here when it opens. It sort of flies.
Does it do that in game? I'm sure it does.
No, in game they use space bungees, which are a lot clever because they only stretch.
The actual motion of the door in game, does it go and just stop?
Yeah.
Or does it bounce?
It sort of goes. It sort of clatters up.
And we also have to consider too. the people that did this in game, what the hell do they know about Covalex units anyway? They could learn a thing or two from this shambles here.
Yes, Corey Bamford knows a great deal about Covalex units, I'm sure. The thing I'm most impressed with this whole thing is this whole mechanism and door fits in this gap.
Yes.
That's the thing that still blows me away by this whole
And it was designed
contraption.
and built in 2 hours in the early hours of the morning.
It really was. So yeah, okay, so sensor 1. So do we want to put one sensor on this side and one sensor on this side, so there's definitely no crosstalk between them?
We could do that, but I think let's not overcomplicate it. I think we could actually agree with Bob for once and just go, make it simple, make it work, then we can improve it. Let's do 2 on the electronics side just now, so let's do 1 up here and 1 at the front, up
do
in
we
the top.
reckon... So this is another question, how sensitive these are.
Yeah, see, and when do we actually fine-tune
Well,
flare-up is?
hold that. I'll go and get a voltmeter, because it should just switch. We shouldn't need power on it. It's a physical switch, so we should be able to actually see how close they need to be.
Oh, aye. You just do a continuity check on that. I've got a voltmeter literally, like, 10 metres that way. In fact, if you shine the camera out of the door, you'll probably see my truck, where the voltmeter is.
So Jamie has brought his truck with him today. So we will... which is an awesome piece of engineering in itself. Come on. My cable isn't long enough. No. So that I can't quite say it.
Honestly, not a setup. I do actually drive around the world with a voltmeter in my vehicle.
And that is genuinely his daily driver as well. Which is why he doesn't go more than 10 miles out of his house.
We don't talk about fuel consumption in polite company now. Although there are Americans in the audience, so yeah, they'll just be like, what, fuel consumption, that's even a thing.
Right. Okay. Right.
Hear the noise. Seems to have lost his beat.
The build thing don't reach out. Well, we can't do both, Bob. If the box is upside down, RF isn't going to work. Well, you're not going to put the box in upside down, surely. Well, you know, but again, the light sensor's not good. Yeah, but then
the worst form of.
Well, no, but the issue with the light sensor is
light sensors aren't going to work
because you can't have 2 boxes that look the same then.
No, because one and you also can't use any kind of. The box itself can't have any form of identity. We could be measuring the continuity of this as we speak, couldn't we?
We could.
So, can we see the...
Right, okay. Right. Stab those into those little holes there.
Right, so we're looking for a reading of 0. So just now we're at an open circuit, and now we've got a closed circuit.
Okay, so...
What kind
That's
of
a hell of a range.
Right, so slide it back and forward. Are we on? Yeah.
So they're actually are they too sensitive?
Right, but do we care?
Wait a minute.
Do we care? If this is accurate within an inch.
No, it does have to. It's not a... No, I mean, we don't, to be honest, for this.
We just need to know the door is approximately in the right place.
I'm just more worried I don't think I can use it for zeroing a
No, you
step
definitely
up.
can't zero it, that's for sure.
The hell?
It seems to have a bit of spring to it. Oh, I'll tell you what, maybe I need to try harder and hold it a little
Yeah,
bit steady.
Right,
let's go again.
Yeah.
There was a momentary lapse concentration there.
It's like, how fucking far away does this get? Yeah, we're talking an inch.
Right, try that again. Move it away.
Yeah, that was
there is a delay there, though.
Oh, yeah, there might be a delay, but...
I'm trying really hard here. No, it wasn't me.
No, that seems pretty good. Right. Okay.
So it literally just makes and breaks the circuit.
Yes. Okay. So interestingly, if we swap over, let's see if it'll do it through the wood. Then we might even have to. We might even have to cut a hole here.
That's good thinking. We didn't have to swap places here for that. No, I can't see the voltmeter. I'm all on my own.
It beeps. I know you probably can't hear it beeping.
I can't hear it.
I suggest using camera.
I'm going to pretend it's in its location just for the... Oh no, we're out of camera. We can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, come back into the camera, Jamie.
Right, how are you holding it?
I'm not. I'm going to have to kind of improvise a way of...
You're going to have to really work hard on this one, aren't you?
I'm going to have to like just try a wee bit harder than I was. Oh, wait a minute. That might not be working because I'm still not trying hard enough. I may have to try like even harder than I was. Right, that should surely work.
Yes, you can. Yeah, that's got to be you connecting the circuit.
That was my little joke. Are we making it?
Can't see.
Alright, it's quite... Let's do this. And you actually do need a better way of
I'll tell you what.
See
if you do that, I'll do
I'm of
this.
such limited intellect, I can only do one thing at a time. Right, so even this is proven difficult for my little brain.
Right, happy?
Yes. Can they see the voltmeter?
Well,
the anticipation. Oh wow, did you see that? We have a closed circuit, or we did have a closed circuit.
Okay, so that works absolutely fine. Straight through the wood.
Now, if we're really going for it, you could actually put a little circle of pen to give you an idea of where the...
Well, what I'm actually interested in is if it could be mounted all the way there.
Yeah. No.
What's that? I think the...
You did have it, there you are.
So not quite.
Still not within the realms of stepper motor accuracy, but for the purposes of knowing whether a door's open or closed, absolutely fine.
Absolutely fine.
And it's actually important that we have a degree of error because the door isn't going to stop in the same place every
It's
time.
going to bounce the fuck around. Right, okay. Cool. I think we've learned to learn there. So we do need to mount this actually onto this 3D printed bit. It can't be all the way back on that bit of wood.
It could be on that bit of wood if the magnet's mounted to the inside. It could be.
Oh, on this side?
Yes, it could.
Would that be okay for the front? Yeah, I think it would actually.
Now, with that moving, with the magnet moving up and down, so any way it could ever close or open on the box, because this is a moving surface, people are going to put things in here, it's going to get used as a, maybe not a refrigerator, but people are going to keep their things in it. Any kind of projection on the doors maybe wanting to be avoided.
No, I think we're grand there.
Really?
Yeah.
I do like the idea of it being.
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be pretty flush. I think it's going to be pretty.
Another end.
Yeah, but if that was there, I can't see that.
You could literally drill a hole in that and put a neodymium magnet in it. That's all you need to do.
Oh yeah, and not use. Yeah, we don't have to use these.
It's not calibrated in any way.
That's true.
Just literally a. Have you got a neodymium magnet handy?
I do. I've got some upstairs.
Pull the door out, drill it.
Yeah,
let me go and
get a 5mm.
So, do I make an executive decision here and pull this door out for John coming back? Nope, we'll leave it alone just in case we break it. I'm on camera. It's going to be really hard to deny when I cause undeniable carnage and destruction to the Covalex unit. Let's have a look at some chat while John's away. What's been going on? You only need to know if a box is there. You don't need to know about the you couldn't care less about the design. These RFID cards are going to give you every bit of knowledge you need to know about the box, though. You can program the box remotely, and that box's identity travels with the card, which you're not going to be able to do with just knowing it's there or not. Make a program to recognise a box. No.
I'm just happy to blame JR immediately, but if you insist, we will look at the evidence.
Yay, happy new follower. Jose. Right, where are we? What kind of antenna are they using? Use thin copper wire, right? Oh.
Right, okay. So we have
I was going to pull the door out while you were upstairs, and then I thought, nope, I'm not going to make carnage because I'm on camera. It's not like normally when I'm here making carnage and you run away.
Yeah. Breaks everything, people.
So we're just going through a few chats there.
Go on then.
So, where are we? Oh, I tell you what, the chat's been busy. I'm having to do a bit of scrolling here. Oh, golden triangle. Sorry, ran over. We're going to have to scroll back looking for a rant.
Jamie does like a rant.
Oh yeah, nothing like a good rant. Is the box emitting a low intensity signal, or is it the device doing all the work?
Now, so what you're doing now is asking me technical questions that I do not know the answer to, because
I've already been answering these. Come on now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I have no idea how these work.
John, you know, we're on it.
That's fine then.
As with anything, what you don't know, you just make up here.
That's interesting. Can you come and hold this for me? I'm trying to do all of this. I don't think this is going to trigger it.
Oh, have you not been able to? Did you not have enough hands either?
No, I did not.
What am I holding this on?
It doesn't matter. Just this.
Oh, we're doing this again.
Yeah, we're doing this. Just in the air. It doesn't matter. I just want to see whether this magnet can actually do it.
All right, wait a minute. Bear with me. Trying to do this so we're all on camera. There's no jiggery pokery here.
Right, so testing with that one, yeah. Oh, that's much closer though. So that, obviously this is a much weaker magnet. That might be better for us though.
Is that like the world's smallest magnet?
Oh no, this is the largest magnet we use in our kit models.
Really?
Yeah, but that's actually better actually. So
right.
if that was mounted in the end of that...
No, that's still smaller than the magnet I had in mind. If I had my socket set with me, I would have my pile of magnets.
I've got 3mm magnets and stuff.
I've got like an 8mm magnet. That's what I had in my mind.
I've not got anything that big.
I'll get some down the shed. I still vote 8mm magnet drilled into the end of this. I've got a pile of them down there.
Yeah, and then just have that sitting underneath like that, and it mounted in there. It'll do on this side
of the track. It can literally be on the wrong side of the track.
Yeah, and it'll just go through.
And zero modification to the door, no projections. Only downside is I've got one of these magnets right here now.
No, but I think that's fine because I just need to measure how. So, interestingly, this is going back to one magnet solution.
Now I'm going to have to take some convincing here.
Well, because zoom out for this debate, right? So our debate before was we were going to mount these permanently, and then we could fine adjust the magnets. But if we're just attaching this to the wood on this side, we can move these really easily. So we can fine adjust with the sensor, not the magnet.
I still like the idea of redundancy.
But if we're mounting these in here, we can't move them anyway. So what's it gaining us? We end up with having two magnets, which could have the false triggering problem. If you've only got one magnet, you can't have a false trigger.
False trigger or redundancy? What's better?
Well, no, because if you've got two magnets in there, you see a magnet flying past. Because... Do you know what I mean? If you've got... I think you're more likely to have issues with false signals.
If you've got a magnet here and one there, there is no magnet flying past anywhere, and you've got a degree of redundancy.
Have we just swapped arguments? I feel like we've had this argument the other way around at the beginning of the stream.
Now, actually, in fairness to the benefit of the audience too, John brings up a quite a relevant point here. If you've got it's only a reed switch, so it's not the case here, but for future endeavours, if you have a magnet passing a sensor with any degree of speed, you can actually get quite a spike in voltage and current that can damage things like Raspberry Pis and Arduinos. So it's something you need to
Redundant
watch out
false
for.
triggers. Thanks for that.
What was that? What's the thanks?
Redundant false triggers. That was from Drew. People have a really hard time following instructions. Yeah, so this is the thing.
Hard time following?
Instructions. So
Yes.
if you have a Star Citizen crate...
Covered in vomit. Potentially.
Well, let's assume not going in vomit.
Okay,
You're going to pick the crate up, go through, put it... Yeah, well, okay, so here's the interesting thing. The RFIDs can solve the putting it in the wrong way up, because you can have more than one RFID card.
Yes, you could.
Because you could have one of these cards set into each face of it.
Yes, you could.
So that the RFIDs actually have a relatively easy fix for the putting it in any way whatsoever.
Or you could have one RFID card and 4 readers.
No, I've got loads of cards. I've only got one reader. This is the thing.
There's going to be about a billion boxes out on missions.
There's going to be 4.
Covalex units.
There's going to be maybe 4 at once, I would think.
There's going to be a lot more than that.
I know, because we've got to build these boxes.
Ching! How many?
I don't know.
Units per box?
No, so this is the thing. So, goal 1 is to get this working. I think you'd agree with the things we have in front of us.
You were upstairs. I was singing the praises of these things, even though I don't really know anything about them.
No, I've never seen them work, but we have them. So the first solution is to use exactly what we have without having to buy anything new.
Yeah.
And then if it doesn't work, we will then try other solutions. But let's try the one that we've got first. Because, I mean, James did actually do quite a lot of rigorous testing with the RFID chips at his end in the US without the unit. So he got all this working, in theory, with the physical things before, and he had no issue with it. So, and he was getting decent ranges.
Should we actually listen to James for any input on what does he want as inputs into all this gizmology here?
Well, so the things we have here, these are what he's provided us. So these open and close on these, RFID underneath, and...
Right, we are splitting hairs. At the end of the day, both ways is going to work.
One
magnet or 2 magnets, both going to work. You could literally toss a coin, both will work, and we'll spend longer arguing about it than we would.
No, I think we should spend longer arguing about it. No. Right, so we don't have
we don't have the magnets. Does that mean this is a conversation for the next stream?
Kind of, yeah. But the interesting thing is what we're establishing is what cables do I need to make by Sunday. So if we've got if we know we want to mount these things, let me just unhook my camera. We know we want to mount these things on this side of the wood. So we have this cable issue, that this cable down here doesn't reach the Pi. So the Pi is going to have to come down the way, so that we don't have to make a new cable. So that can just come down, that's fine. And the sensors are going to be right the way up here. So we will need to make little extendy cables for our sensors. So if you want to hold the sensor, that will be over there.
I'm holding it approximately in place.
Yeah, and then this one will be about here. This one will be about here. So cable-wise, I mean, they nearly reach as they are, don't they? Into the Pi where it is.
This is as good as a mile, though. Let's be honest, these are very easy to extend.
Yeah, exactly. And I do want to bring this down. So, so if I make a 1 foot extension for these, that will be enough. So let me write down what I need to make. So 2 times 1 foot, 3 times 300 mil. Extension.
Oh, you also need to make tea for the next stream as well. That's another thing you had to make.
Oh, yes. Are you here on Sunday as well, then, if you get tea and biscuits?
We'll need to check my busy schedule, but potentially.
We'll also have, we may well have an American on a camera there, so there'll be 3 of us, which will be kind of better, because then they can read chat and tell us what the hell's going on. Because it's quite difficult to read chat and be in a box. We need to move the Pi down. Move pipe. Right, so what else? We didn't... Oh, I'll tell you what, the last thing we need to do is I need to go and get some foam, and we need to see how much foam we need to make that door not make a huge noise.
Are we going to have some sample door sounds to see how much foam makes a difference to the door closing?
We can. They won't be able to hear it.
And have you dodged a bullet? With the door closing on you? You caught it? Yeah, so if we can have any chat comments about what you think, what appendage you think John should put in the door. I could be looking at the chat, or I can give you a wee recap on this that's going to be removed. We've got a pneumatic cylinder here, double acting cylinder. We have a little air valve here, high pressure line running not through any kind of regulator, just going literally straight to the compressor, which isn't how we had it before, but I'm quite pleased to see it's working that way. I do like the sound of the air ram. I'm going to miss it, but it's probably for the best. Stepper motors integrate with electronics far better than pneumatic cylinders ever will, but I think that loses a bit of the rawness of this Covalex unit. Let's see what's happening on chat. So, use a hall sensor instead so you can measure the speed of the magnet passing by.
I'm just happy to blame JR immediately, but if you insist...
Oh, happy new follower, John. Yeah, we talked about hall sensors.
Thank you very much, Alexi Gunnar, for the follow. Right.
Now you're forgetting basic fundamental. People have a really hard time following instructions. That is so true.
That is so true.
Further miss the reader, yes. So basically we're probably going to have to restrict where people can put the box. I mean, a tapered bottom to it, which isn't in game, would be a simple way of doing that.
Yeah, we can make feelers for that, can't we?
I'm definitely not bringing an RFD reader and programming along with some RFD cards to the next Citizen Con. Well, that's what I was asking you before about, can I do that with my phone?
Well, can you spoof it?
3 centimeter radius. Very good. RFID unless box wrongly up, right? Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah, there's lots of practical people on here with practical things to say.
Oh, absolutely. This is the great thing about our streams. Most of the people that tune into us are immensely skilled human beings, which is why I like to do this sort of thing live. I love the debate. I love learning things. I've learned about a very expensive type of stepper motor that I'm definitely going to look up.
I have to confess, I'm generally on the same wavelength as Heavy Bob here. I know that's controversial.
He doesn't hear that a lot, you know.
You need to just assume people are going to screw this up.
Oh God, yeah, no, I absolutely believe that. Yeah,
right.
I do believe that.
That tiny Chinese module is just not going to cut it here. Oh, that's fighting talk. We live on Chinese modules here. There's literally nothing in this room that hasn't come out of China, is there?
Not many tools. Are DeWalt made in China? I don't know what's going on with our screen today.
Blame James.
It's like squished.
Can we blame the builder's band holding it on?
No.
It couldn't possibly be that.
No, it couldn't possibly be that.
Can I press the button?
Yes, you can press the button. Right, so we're going to try with 6mm foam, which I think is all we're going to need.
The suspense is...
Did I reattach the air? I did reattach the air. So I want to just put 6mm foam in the bottom. So I mean that is... It's not going to make any difference to you guys, sound-wise, is what I've realised. I'm just going to hold this so it doesn't jump. Da, da, da. That made virtually no
It
difference
made
to
no
the sound.
difference at all. And now the compressors kicked in.
But it did bounce, interestingly.
It did bounce. We like the bounce.
No, I
Yeah.
don't like the bounce.
Well, I tell you what else, so the foam is visible and it does mean that the door sits higher. Obviously, you're going to have to take that out of the rest position.
Press the button again and we'll try a thicker foam.
Oh, the suspense.
So, yeah.
So
it really didn't make a lot of difference to the
It made no
noise.
difference. So, curious enough, while you just ran upstairs, I did ask for suggestions as to which appendage you should stick in here. And,
I do not want to know what Heavy Bob said.
I can honestly say I'm disappointed with the response so far.
Oh, that was a lot quieter.
Was a lot quieter.
It did have a bounce to it, though.
We like the bounce.
Why
It's
do
going
we
to confuse the piss out of the magnets, but we don't care about that.
why,
It's
why
James's
do,
problem.
Well, why do we like? I don't like the bounce. Why do we like the bounce?
It's doing stuff.
I guess the
like
thing
it.
is, again, with the stepper
It's
motor.
eye fodder, it's eye candy.
How much does it bounce? I suppose the thing is, with these steppers, we won't have the bounce because we won't have the momentum
Well, the
by
other
that
way of
point.
looking at it, right? What is the bounce? So the bounce is so when it just hits and stops. What's the impulse? What's the amount of energy that is just absorbed by the frame in microseconds?
Oh, yeah,
compared to.
I just don't want. I want it to slow it down. This is the thing.
You're not going to do that with foam, though. That's a job for a stepper motor.
Yeah.
Why are we doing the foam thing?
That bounces like an inch.
So,
yeah, I don't like
other
it.
than liking the bounce, which I do, this isn't relevant to the stepper motor now. We're kind of trying to solve a problem that the now redundant air cylinder has.
Yeah, I think I might be tempted to put a little bit of 6mm in or a bit of rubber or something. It's more the wood-on-wood smack noise. It doesn't sound realistic because it sounds like wood to me, but that's probably because I make everything out of wood, so I know what wood hitting wood sounds like. No comments. Thank you, Heavy Bob.
So I think that can all be done with stepper motors.
Yeah, I have to agree.
I do think
and
that
the videos we're going to do of this in the short term, the audio is going to be faked anyway. So
have, just because I like pressing the button, I'm going to open it again. You could have some little rubber buffers on the bottom louver. You could have some little rubber buffers here.
So what appendage am I putting in this?
You're going to have to ask Bob. Oh, you're going for it. Let's just make sure that we're getting this right on the camera. There we go.
Oh, the suspense.
The suspense.
Isn't it? See, I mean...
You caught that. You had your arm strategically up.
I had it... go and click it again then. See, I'll be worried about hand. It's just that there's not as much fat to absorb it.
I mean, that's true. Yeah, if somebody did put...
It's fingers. It's fingers that would really hurt.
Small appendage in there.
Yeah.
You'd have a fair chance of losing it. Oh, sorry, did I not press that? Oh, let me try a little bit harder. Are you losing any blood to your finger yet?
Okay, let me try and not be hurt. Right, so I shall make sure my arm is completely flat when I do this.
Taking one for the team.
I say, but the door isn't that heavy, and that's all you're really holding is the weight of the door.
Well, it depends on the speed of the door.
Yeah,
Let me turn that up to 120 and see if you're going to...
Well, no, that wouldn't make any difference because it's free falling.
We've got the bungee.
Yeah, because it's not actually. It is just the weight of the door. There's no drive behind it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if it caught your knuckle, it would hurt. It wouldn't cut your finger off though. I mean, it would hurt your hand. And a child's hand. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. You got to think of like little kid putting their hand in it as the door closes, things like. Whereas the stepper, if it slowed it down in that last inch. No risk of injury because again, it's no drive to it because it's still on a cord.
But we are being very 21st century here. If we were in the 1800s, We literally don't care if children get their hands chopped
No,
off.
no, I'm aware of that, but we're trying to run a business, and it's really easy to lose, your business if you kill a child. It's really
You
frowned
don't
upon.
horribly maim them. You're not killing them.
On that bombshell, we shall leave it there. I don't know if it phone, but a human arm in there stopping the door. Yeah, exactly. I'd say it's. I certainly won't have a bruise from that. I'd say you're literally just getting things. I think if you caught it on a knuckle or something, that you would know about that. And I say a kid's hand or quite frowned upon.
And it isn't operating at nearly the severity it used to operate. When we actually built this and did the testing,
but again, I don't
we did
think
have more bungees with higher air pressure.
Yeah, maybe the bungee would throw it a bit faster.
We did have it bouncing on the clothes as well.
Yeah, it was a bit savage, wasn't it? So I think the stepper will take any risk of injury out of it because you're just getting that last slowdown. Because if it flies down and if your arm was in it halfway, it would push your hand towards the bottom if you were weak, and then it would slow down and then wouldn't trap you.
For James, it can look at the current involved in the stepper motors. If he sees a rise in current above however many milliamps, it can also stop the door movement.
Well, no, but interestingly, so this is
with a stepper, you're not going to get that. But
you're not going to get that at all because it's on the rope. As soon as something's in the way, the rope goes slack and the stepper's no longer
you're
driving.
Not using a rope with a stepper, though.
Yeah. It's exactly the same system. So the stepper motor is all we're replacing in this system, right? Is instead of having this cylinder driving, we're going to have a shaft that goes across here with a winch. Drum.
No. We're not just going to have a continuous
loop. No, because
Why
then we are using the stepper to drive downwards, and that could cut someone's finger off. There's the great thing about this rope is it is mechanically impossible to injure someone with it seriously.
Right, okay. You've only got the weight of the door.
You've only no matter what happens, you've only ever got the weight of that door.
Even if somebody hacks it and intentionally tries to cut somebody's hand off.
You're reliant on software and all that kind of stuff. It's zeroing itself wrong or something because if it ended up coming out of zero. It could try and drive your hand off. Right. And again, that's the disadvantage of going way over the top with the size of motor, because we're talking about a motor that can move a half-ton bridge will literally slice you.
Yes.
So I think I know the rope's a little bit basic, but I love its idiot-proofness on the injury.
Right, and that was actually a consideration.
Yeah, that's why we had it.
Built this. Although we only had a couple of hours to do it, not chopping somebody's hand off intentionally was actually part of the brief.
Yes, absolutely.
And the rope does fulfil that.
It really does. It's not an ideal solution. I'm sure we're going to have a few issues with it sitting on the drum and stuff, like we had issues with it jumping off these what are they called?
Rollers.
Round things.
Oh, the pulleys.
Pulleys, that's the one.
Yep.
Thank you. That word escaped my brain for a second. So we will have some farting about with that. Just gets the idea to put it into the game. Well, it's funny. So we might be having some of the things we did to the GSS unit going into game, which is really cool. Sort of like life imitating art, or made up life imitating art of made up things. I don't know how that phrase would work. Yes, the rope takes the fun out of it. I get it. It's an extreme sport, but one of the places, so if it was in an event, I wouldn't actually be that worried, right? If this was at an event where it was just adults, consenting Star Citizen adults, I wouldn't actually have a huge issue with it. One of the places this might end up going is like the Manchester office. The GSS unit lived in the Manchester office for a long time because they're huge and I don't really have a lot of room for them, as you can see in this place. So it's probably going to end up in one of the CIG offices, which means people's kids are going to be in. It is a really cool office to work in. People, their kids might come in and they might play with it, and you've got, so it has to be 100% injury proof. In all seriousness, whatever we do here has to be guaranteed not to injure a small child, because the chances are a small child will put their hand in this at some point in its life when it lives in an office with 600 people in it. So, all joking aside, we do need to make sure that there is zero chance of someone getting injured with this thing eventually.
So we might have some sacrificial tubes of toothpaste, for example.
We might have to go all Mythbusters.
Yeah, we might
and
actually
make
have to...
analogues of stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, we have a Jamie, so you're going to have to get a stick-on mustache,
right?
And I'll have to get a cowboy hat, and we'll be
I'm
sorted.
just thinking out aloud here. Some toothpaste tubes and how far the tube squirts the toothpaste is how hard it's getting hit.
We're going to have to go and get some pig bones from the butcher and some ag gel and stuff.
Yep, all of that ballistic gel. Yeah.
Sounds excellent. So, hands up anyone who wants this just to become a Mythbusters episode. Oh dear. Use a beam to break them. A series of sensors checking for a break to beam. We did think about the beam thing. The annoying thing about the beam thing is, again, we've got visible sensors and stuff, and it still comes down to it's an electronic safety. So because there's no mechanical, the great thing with the rope is it's a mechanical safety. There is no way of injuring yourself, even with, because the other thing,
even if it's hacked.
Yeah, I mean, with the air system, the biggest actual worry is the airline getting cut. And then the cylinder just losing pressure and driving down. Even in that situation, there is no problem because the rope is always saving you. It's a really basic solution, but sometimes basic is good from that point of view. It's foolproof in that there is no downward physical mechanical drive to this. So I do like it for that. The light sensor stuff, I think as long as we can get it so that even if you do stick your hand in this, you're not going to get injured. And I don't see any reason why that can't be done quite easily with the steppers and stuff. And still have it coming down really fast and everything. I don't think we're far off. I think we could actually get it to work on the air. If we wanted to do it, if we weren't going over to steppers, we'd be now thinking about, right, okay, well, we need a spring to catch that last inch of the door.
Yeah,
you could do it mechanically as well.
The reason we're not going for air is, hands up, who's got an air compressor in their office?
Yes, and wants to listen to it run all day.
Yeah, exactly. Here you're going to get a screw-type air compressor that's, even they're not silent.
Yeah.
A stepper motor, it literally sounds like a vending machine.
It does, and the other great, as I said before, the other great advantage of stepper, because it's software run, we can build the hardware, and the hardware stays the same, and then James can make cooler programs to do the shuttery thing for a broken one, and then we can have different workings of it without changing any hardware.
And eventually it's going to be remote access. It's going to be used for keeping people's lunch or goods, or it's going to keep the snacks in it. People will be able to remotely open it to reward their office workers. Things like that are just inevitable.
Yeah, exactly. And there's no reason why you can't do an internet thing and that will open it. It's the possibilities from the software side are endless. Nothing that I will be doing anything with, but we might have. We could always do some open sourcing as well, because I know a lot of you guys are programmers, so we could have a little bit of a mess about with some of our stuff and see what all you guys can come up with as well to run this thing. But yeah, so that's where we are with that. We've tested the door. It doesn't kill people. That's all fine. Yeah, I think...
What about this box? I'm intrigued. Why do you hate it so much? It looks perfectly fine to me.
Oh, no, it's god-awful.
Why?
What's
actually wrong with it?
Oh, it's just hideous.
Is it true to scale?
Yes.
Does it look like it's meant to look like?
Yeah. If it was made out of cheese. I mean, it's what I will do next time.
Is it the weight you don't like?
The weight's part of it. What we'll do for next time, for Sunday, I have the proper version of these, what we ended up building, and I'll show you the difference between them, and you'll be astonished at the difference between them. We'll have a show and tell of what... This was a very early prototype of something that got a hell of a lot better, and had interactive locks and computers inside it and all this sort of stuff. It had a screen and everything. So, there is a very cool box that we should really have out with this thing, because they do kind of go together.
Yeah, so.
They do kind of go together. So that's all that. Right, I have a new way of raiding somebody. I did actually look at raiding and actually thought about it a bit more. So who is doing anything to do with Star Citizen? I bet everyone is going to be watching Gamescom. Oh, Detox is watching Gamescom. We'll go to Detox as a watch party. That will work. That works for me. We'll go to Detox. because we like Detox. He says just chatting, but that's absolutely fine. Right, so this has all got really technical now. So bear with me. Everything looks good. So we're going to do a raid. Thank you all. Oh, wait a minute. Star Helix has a thing. Star Helix is the winner. He has got us a picture. Well done, sir.
Well done.
We're going to have a very quick look at this before we go then. Well done, Star Helix. If you can message me your actual first and last name that you opened your JRDF, your JR Fabrication website account with, just on Twitch or whatever, I will send you those 250 JRX. Very well done, sir. Right, so these I never noticed before. These big... Oh yeah, we've got this is the magic of not doing this well. Wait a minute, we're going to have to do this, right? And then Jamie's going to have to go on to the script. So if we do that and then do this, how awful's that? Right. So
this is the best we could do.
Yeah.
I feel Stone Age again.
Yeah, I know. So interestingly, this looks like a hatch doorway that opens up to maybe swallow the box later or something. Or no, it'll probably go down, won't it?
I've never noticed this before.
I probably have, but I was in a rush. So I think that's supposed to open downwards and drop the box down into the working. So that's fine. So we can obviously make a flappy door that fits on that. So that's nice. These we're going to have to just do a much nowhere near as deep routed pocket.
You could do because you've got enough room.
Yeah, no, we could go 8 mil into it just to get us. It's not going to. That's about 20. That's about inch and a half depth.
Make some panels and stick them on because you've still got a bit of clearance, and it's going to help with the alignment of the RFID. So
that's quite nice. Oh yeah, sort of internally. Yeah, we could do actually. Yeah, because the door could come down. So yeah, and then there's a light at the back. So it's nothing to. This is a nice decal that we'll put on it and paint on it. So that's quite cool. Thank you very much, Star Helix. Top man.
All right, I'm impressed. I honestly didn't think that would have happened from a stream.
The power of the internet. He's gone in game, got a ship, gone on a mission. I mean, that's what you can't just walk up.
He's actually gone on a mission.
Yes, because you can't just walk up to an open. You have to have a mission to be able to go and get a box out of it. What commitment!
That is commitment.
That is commitment.
Impressed.
You should
I wasn't expecting that.
You should be committed. Well done. Thank you so much for that, Star Helix. That is absolutely brilliant. I might shrink the decals. Yeah. I'd say we'll have a play with that. But that's really nice. That's not too complicated. It's a nice bottom to the box. We can play around with that. We can make that really work for this build, which is absolutely fantastic. Awesome. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much indeed. Well snuck in at the end there, Star Helix. So we will go on to. Oh, is it? I want Detox. Oh, is Detox watch? Oh, he's hosting DJ Night. Oh, he stopped. That's so annoying. Oh, that's so annoying. Who are we going to raid then? Let's raid Noodle. Let's raid Noodle. Right. Okay, people. Say hi to Noodle for me, and we shall see you next time. We'll be here on Sunday as usual, and enjoy. See you later, guys.
Cheerio.